All right, wonderful. Well, good evening, each and every one of you. I pray that all of you are well and that your families are well as well. I am Councilman Willie Lightfoot, for those of you who do not know, the chairman of the Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition. And this is our monthly meeting of the Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition. And we are so grateful and have a lot of good things to share with you on this evening. And of course, for those who may be tuning in for the first time, our Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition meetings typically are hybrid due to the winter months and the tough winter that we have been having. Of course, today is one of those exceptions. We are actually have a very nice day here in Rochester, but we opted to have online meetings only until the weather is consistently better. So I thank each and every one of you for logging on this evening. Typically, our meetings are about an hour. We do respect each and every one of your time, and we're very prompt in our meetings. And then we have subcommittees that meet typically in between our meetings as well. Uh, our meetings are also streamed on the City Council YouTube channel. So that's happening live right now. So for those of you who want to go back and or share meetings with your other platforms, please subscribe, like, and share to all of our platforms. The Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition is on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we stream live our meetings to the City Council YouTube page. So we're very transparent with the information that we share. Typically, the way we start our meetings is we're going to have a moment of silence to respect each and every one of the individuals who have maybe lost their lives this year and or in previous years and their families. So we're going to ask that we have a moment of silence. Then after that, we'll go into introductions. And introductions typically is for those who may be their first time attending Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition meeting. We'd like for you to introduce yourself, unmute, of course, introduce yourself, maybe the agency that you're with, and then we'll move on. You should see the agenda in the chat, but right now we'll move into a portion of our agenda where we start with our moment of silence. So I would ask, please, sir, please, ma'am, if you would just join us for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So at this point, we're going to go through our Hollywood squares. And if this is your first time attending a Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition meeting, I would ask if you would please unmute and introduce yourself and maybe the agency or who you represent, please.
It is my first time. I'm Kate Antoniadis, and I am here. I'm a volunteer internal communications lead for Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
Welcome. Welcome.
My name is Deshawn Lewis. I'm the new
Good to have
program
you here.
manager. I'm sorry, new program director at Rise Up Rochester. I'm driving, so I'm going to limit what I'm saying right now so I can concentrate and still listen.
Absolutely. Well, welcome. We appreciate you being with us, and we pray that you have safe travels.
Hello, Josh.
Thank
Hello.
you. So I'm going to limit what I'm saying right now so I can concentrate.
All right. Hey, hello, everyone. Josh Mack. I'm an educator in the City School District and also president of Rochester Parents Association. I've been joined a couple of your meetings and was asked to come on board.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Kareem Berry, the executive director of the Multi-Craft Apprenticeship Preparation Program. Basically, we are a pre-apprenticeship for the trades.
Welcome, Kareem.
Hi, I'm Jesse. I'm just a student and was looking to learn more. So hello.
Welcome, Jesse. Appreciate you too. Thank you for being with us. Anyone else first time attending our Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition meeting? Please unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please.
I'm Cecilia, the Workforce Divisional Director at the Urban League of Rochester.
Okay, welcome. Welcome. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, you should. Does everyone have your agenda? Can everyone see the agenda in the chat? Just want to make sure that everyone can see the agenda. Just before we go into our first item on our agenda, I just want to I want to give some updates because it is some people's first time. So I want to give you some information so that you would have that information. Okay. If you we have a website. If you Google the Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition, of course, it'll take you directly to the City of Rochester website. But our website is City of Rochester / Think About It is the name of of how do you get to our website. But once again, if you Google Rock Against or even RAGBC, Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition, it will take you to it should pop up immediately to take you to the City of Rochester.gov website. Just so a lot of our information is posted there. And our leadership team, just for your knowledge, of course, myself, the founder and chairperson, Councilmember Lightfoot at large. We have Rochester City School Board Commissioner Jacqueline Griffin, Vice Chair, who's on the call. Andre Gully, my secretary and assistant. Dassy is also works very closely with us and our council staff and is secretary to the coalition, along with and co-sharing that with Andre and Kathy Richardson. Septimus Scott is our treasurer. Our committees are broken down into Education Committee. Tenios is the chair of that. Advocacy is Council President Miguel Melendez. Eradication is Rochester City School Board Commissioner Jacqueline Griffin. Media Chair is Council Vice President Lachey Harris. The Resource Committee is Crisis Intervention Service Manager Aaliyah Hinton Williams. Youth Committee is Ruth Reeves is chairing that. And then it gives you on our website, it also gives you our meeting schedule for the year for our monthly meeting. So I just wanted to give you kind of a high level overview of the structure of the coalition and its committees. And of course, also draw your attention to the website. If you have not your first meeting and you want to dive into a little more information, you can see some of our general partners, our day one partners are listed on there as well. You can learn about the history of the coalition and how we were started, what our purpose and our mission is, what we intend to do. And then you can see some of the documents that we have put forth out there, considering the Solution Action Plan in 2018, 2019, and then the Solution Action Plan that we did, I believe it was 2023, was the second Solution Action Plan that we presented to the community, which we are now working to implement a lot of solutions. I believe there was 12 solutions in the last Solution Action Plan. And we've been working diligently to do as much as we possibly can to implement those community solutions that were given by our community. So I just want to give you an overview. And for those of you your first time, you want to get a little more information. Like I said, it's a lot of information is on our website. And then of course, if you go to the City Council YouTube page, you can see past meetings as well and see the direction and some of the work that we've done in the past. Okay, so I just wanted to give you that. Now we're going to move directly into the next portion of our agenda, which I believe we have an update by Michael Patterson, the CEO of MPP 360. Michael, are you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing, Mr. Lightfoot?
I'm
I
doing
have,
wonderful, sir. You
yep. No, go ahead. I'm listening.
you have the floor.
Yep, I have a member of my board
Go
here, Jason,
ahead. You
and
have the
I'm
floor, sir.
okay. I have another board member here with me, and I'm gonna let him start off, and then I'll follow up right behind him. Jason, are you there?
I'm right here.
All right, Jason.
Hi. Okay. Hi, Councilman Lightfoot and everyone else. I've actually attended once in person to this meeting, but I'm zooming in from the West Coast, and I'm in Washington State. I'm going to share. I guess I have to send this request. I want to share some slides. So I think Mike is going to talk about his new organization, MPP 360, that helps people who've been shot and paralyzed by gun violence. If I can share it now. See, I'm not seeing how to share this. Let's see.
Councilmember Lightfoot, I think you might have to make him a
Okay.
co-host for sharing ability.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There you go, Jason.
Okay. Let's see if it'll. Okay, let's see if that will work. Does that work? No. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we see it now.
Okay, let me just switch it to slideshow. Okay, is that good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you can hear me okay? All right, sorry about
Yes.
that. So like I was saying, I'm a cultural anthropologist, a medical anthropologist with a background in public health, and I started a project a couple years ago that started in Rochester to look at folks that survive gunshot wounds, and particularly, and I was kind of inspired by the work that was being done in Rochester by a support group, essentially, that was connected to, that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, that was with the Rochester Spinal Cord Association. And I was put in touch with a lot of individuals from that group, including Mike. And so he was one of the first people I interviewed, and then we've been talking over the last couple of years, and I've been coming back to Rochester. And so the project I've been working on is really, in a sense, kind of starting from this really basic research context, that that someone in the United States experiences a gunshot wound every 11 minutes, and the fact that most of those people live, and that non-fatal shootings occur at about a ratio of 4-to-1. And just the idea that, I mean, for us, for this group, I'm sure that's not that surprising, but to the general public, right? We focus a lot on people who are on mortality rates. So my project was really trying to follow up people from after a gunshot wound, and that's how I kind of got interested in the work that Mike has been doing. And so this is just a little bit about sort of how much of this research I've been doing. A lot of this sort of initial interviews, I continue to follow up with people, and that's kind of important because trying to look at sort of over the long haul of people who have been paralyzed and have had a bullet retained in their body, just sort of the long arc of that, and how there's so much that exists long after somebody takes a shot. And so for me, this is sort of an ongoing project, in part in Rochester, but then also some other places around the country too. And some of that work is just facilitated by Zoom. And just sort of some of the really basic kind of findings that have, oops, I want to stop that share. There we go. That have come out of that is just sort of the difficulties that face, especially someone who's been paralyzed after a gunshot. Mike can probably maybe correct me a little bit about these dates, but Medicaid only pays for about 3 weeks post-shot therapy versus where a few years ago it would just be 3 months, and that's so it means that in a very compressed amount of time, people who have been shot are having to try to gain back as much mobility as they can in that first 18-month window after being paralyzed, which is really critical period of time if any mobility is going to come back. So a 3-week inpatient physical therapy driven care is really just not enough. So a lot of what my work is looking at is sort of like what happens after people are discharged from that. A lot of this work too, I think we're seeing that people within treatment are not getting even adequate care during that period. A lot of the times, because of the people who've been shot, they may appear as if they were shot in a gang activity. I would just say, in my very small sample of work here, most people are not gang affiliated or even gang adjacent, right? They were in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? But because of presumption of gang activity, right? A lot of the people I interviewed would talk about how that sort of impacted their care. After getting out, right? And this is, I think, a lot of where MPP 360's work is going to be focused, is like a kind of being ostracized after a gunshot wound, but particularly a paralyzing gunshot wound. A lot of the people I interviewed who were paralyzed will describe how their community sort of fell apart. They're scared. They're used to people getting shot, but not people who get shot and paralyzed. And just sort of that is a completely new identity for them, and one that a lot of their maybe a presumed support group just is not ready to handle. Another thing that sort of my work sort of looked at, and again, it's not a huge sample, but just how people end up having to find housing much further outside of the city core where they might have lived and where they might have got services. And a lot of that is just how the kind of housing stock, older housing stock available in certain neighborhoods of Rochester that maybe have multiple stairs, to get up to porches and stuff like that. And so a lot of the people I interviewed had to find apartments and things further and further out to all be on one floor. So like housing in general is an issue, but trying to find housing that's appropriate for being newly disabled was something that's really come up a lot. And then I'll just say and I just put this last kind of estimation of that one person a month is paralyzed after a gunshot wound. And that number comes from the Spinal Cord Association, and they will sort of freely admit that that's not great data. Could be more. They don't really know. So again, in terms of surveillance, it's not wonderful. Just very quickly, another kind of thing that beyond paralysis, but oftentimes linked with paralysis, another thing that sort of is a real long-term risk factor is just the experience of having a retained bullet or bullet fragments left in your body. This is kind of where my current research is kind of landing on right now and focusing a lot. And there's, just this chart alone just shows the way that having a retained bullet in your body, right, is almost a risk factor for all sorts of other sorts of health issues. But as I kind of highlight here, it's also a risk factor for a subsequent gunshot wound. I am not a statistician, but I'll just take it on faith as I've kind of gone through this whole paper that presents this data, like the almost double the number, or over double the people who have a bullet in them versus don't, right? That in and of itself is a risk factor to be shot again. And we can talk about all the various reasons for that. But in terms of trying to think about kind of stopping the cycle of gun violence, right? Just having a bullet in you is really, really kind of critical. This is just some of the stuff that I think is also just really important. Is, and again, a lot of my interest is right now about thinking about retained bullets. And, some cities have just bullet clinics just to spend time removing bullets because they see how just important that is. And a lot of the issues, and you can see just sort of the sequela, or what happens after a retained bullet, right? I mean, it's a kind of wound that sort of keeps affecting the person that was shot, right? I followed up with people now over 2 years who are managing going in and out of the hospital with different infections, different issues, blockages, pain, because of this retained bullet. And a lot of this care is being done sort of in outpatient sort of settings. So it's not people who are getting sort of the real care that might actually take that bullet out. And just that there's really little protocol on whether to leave bullets in or take them out, a kind of cross-trauma surgeons around. And I know that in Rochester, actually, they've started to do a lot more of a kind of I think there is a bullet clinic. The last time I talked to people, that it's maybe every once a month or something. So I think I'll just, for time's sake, sort of stop there. I'm kind of go to my reference page, but I just really admittedly sort of cherry picked some stuff from this research, a lot of it from Rochester. But a lot of the stuff that I think really sort of speaks to the experience of the kinds of people that Mike wants to serve in that organization. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you so much. And just to finish up real quick, Councilman, MPP 360's work focuses on life after the shooting, with all the adverse ripple effects that begin to impact the individual and their family is where MPP 360 comes in. We have our 3 R's, which is the 3 different phases that we engage survivors. The first is the rehab phase, where we check to see if there's any stigmas or bias that the patient is being treated with, and we like to get like a baseline intro with the family. The second phase is release. We like to help the individual navigate the healthcare system, deal with any accessibility issues they might have in the home, and help them with government assistance. And the last phase is restoration, where we like to help them either if they want to go get a GED, they want to go get a vocation, or they want to get a competitive job and come back out into the world. We want everybody to feel like they have something to contribute. We also want to run groups for families and survivors for mentorship, mental health, wellness, and fellowship, building a network from within that supports a marginalized demographic in our healthcare system and in our communities. Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Jason. Very interesting and critical information giving. Does anybody have any questions for either Michael or Jason? Louis, go ahead.
Yes.
I see Louis,
yes,
then
sir.
Kat. Let's start stacking.
Okay. I don't know if mine's in a statement or a question, but why are we moving people out of our community if they're victims of violence when there's resources where they could get a home rehabbed or things of that sort? I know a friend of mine owns 101 Mobility on Dewey Avenue behind the cemetery there, Miguel Milan, and he rehabs houses and has done many houses for victims of violence that the state has funding for, and he rehabs the houses from making a downstairs bathroom with a shower, a rolling shower, to lowering kitchen cabinets, to doing all the things that we as normal people don't think of. I find his work amazing, from stair lifts to all that kind of stuff, from ramps. That's what this business does. I mean, I would rather someone get refitted locally unless they're getting refitted because of dangers of staying in the community. So I just want to make sure that we know we have local resources as well.
Well, we do, and I think a big part of that problem, Louis, is that more than 70% of survivors do not get the access, the 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 survivor victims money that each state puts out and allots for victims. At least 70% or more of people do not get to access that pot of money. So therefore, most people are living off a government check after that happens, and they just don't have the funds to be able to do that. And I just think some of the information is missing. I mean, this is the first time I've heard about this guy and this company, and I've been doing this work for a few years. So I just think,
yeah, and he even helps them apply for the paperwork.
yeah. So I
My
think it's a
nephew was a
disconnect.
gunshot victim, and he helped them with getting hospital beds, access, things to get them in and out of the house, and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you could use them in the future, man.
Appreciate you, Lloyd. Thank you.
You just muted yourself, Louis. So what I would say to that, Louis, is that's new information to a lot of people, including myself. So what I would ask is that you would get that information to us, Louis, to Dassey, and we'll make sure we include it in the minutes, and we'll make sure that we get it out to the rest of the members and that others will know about this. That's another one of the beautiful things about this coalition is sharing information and connecting people together. So we're going to move along. We don't have a lot of time, and we have a lot to cover tonight. Kathy, Go ahead.
Question,
Kathy.
quick question. Thank you.
Question.
Quick question. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Mike. It was a great presentation. Concerning the data that you reported, you said that victims of non-fatal shootings, that non-fatal shootings occur at a ratio of 4-to-1 compared to homicides. I just wanted to clarify, are you comparing that to all homicides or to gun homicides?
To gun homicides. Yeah.
Thank you.
4-to-1. Yeah. So just the overwhelming, like 4 out of 5 people who get shot live, you know.
Thank you.
All right. Reverend Dr. Rollins, you had your hand up, ma'am.
Yes, I do.
You just
Okay,
muted
hi.
yourself. Hi.
I hope I'm unmuted now. Very briefly, I want to thank you, Administrator Willie, for your leadership, and also to thank Jason and Mike for a very empowering and yet disturbing report in a short period of time. My question is, how can we help? Can we volunteer? Is there, are you looking for workers, colleagues, people who have some training? I'm trained running support groups, for example. Are you looking for people who can do that? How do we explore this possibility with you, please?
Well,
And
we would
thank
be,
you.
yep, I appreciate that. Well, we would definitely be looking for spaces in the future that we could hold these groups, these support groups.
Spaces, yeah.
We would be looking for some social workers that would be willing to help a nonprofit out and help these individuals navigate the healthcare system and some of the other perils that come along with being newly paralyzed. We would love for some PT and OT people to maybe come aboard and help us out. So we're willing to take help from any walk of the community, whether it's a space that's provided or whether that's a skill somebody can bring to the table to help move the needle. So we're open for all those different avenues of help.
And so briefly, how do we contact you, or is that coming in this program? And also, I used to work with people with traumatic brain injuries. So there's a parallel of how your life can change in a heartbeat.
Exactly. I can definitely leave my email in the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you so
very,
much.
very much, Mike. Yep. And thank you for your work. And thank you, Jason and Willie. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rev. Aaliyah Hinton Williams, hand is up.
Good evening. I was just wondering, perhaps I missed this part of it. Is this a program that's already existing here in Rochester? Are you looking to start this program? And have you connected with the other organizations here in Rochester that are already doing this work in case there's opportunity for collaboration? Thank you.
Yep. Yes, this is a program that's been existing in Rochester for about the last 2 years. I have collaborated with a few of the other nonprofits in town that work with people with disabilities. I've collaborated with the people at the Kessler Trauma Center. I've collaborated with people at the Strong Trauma Center, the people at the U of R. I've collaborated with RSA. I've collaborated with Endless Highway. So yes, I've reached out and done a lot of collaboration in the community with other organizations doing the same work, but we've been around for about 2 years now.
Okay, so there are some other organizations that also work with gunshot victims, like Office of Violence Prevention, Rise Up Rochester, SNUG. So I wasn't sure whether or not you've connected with those folks.
Yeah, we're very familiar with Rise Up Rochester. We love Wanda and we love working with Kiva, so we're very familiar with them.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, those of you who have asked your input or questions. We look forward to getting that information. This is the beautiful thing about connecting people together and learning. Oftentimes we hear that Rochester, we know we have a lot of resources typically in this community, but oftentimes the challenge is that people don't necessarily always know about them. That to me is the one of the biggest. Education, advocation, and eradication are the three pillars of the Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition. So the education piece is not just educating the community, it's educating each other on what we do and how we can collaborate and partner with each other and help to lift each other up. So, and support, right? So that's to me one of the major positives of this coalition is we're learning every month. We learn something new and different, and we connect different people together to do this work because it takes all of us. So I appreciate you, Brother Mike, and I'm going to move along to on our agenda here. Excuse me one second. To I believe it is Captain Murrah, if I'm not mistaken, with the Office of Violence Prevention. Do we have is Teak here from Office of Violence Prevention, or someone from Office of Violence Prevention?
Yes, I am.
Teak, how you doing, brother?
I'm
Blessings.
doing great. Doing great. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to provide a couple updates for Office of Violence Prevention. So for those that are new to the phone call or that are new on for the meeting today, I can explain what the Office of Violence Prevention is. The Office of Violence Prevention, OVP, as we call it, this houses all the violence prevention programs are through the city of Rochester out of the mayor's office. So those programs include Pathways to Peace, Advanced Peace, Neighborhood Safety, our Rochester Peace Collective, which is 23 community-based organizations that we work with or help fund in some capacity, as well as our newly action team that I won't really go too deep into today because that's a couple months down the line. But what I did want to do, first I wanted to announce that Pathways to Peace has a new leader. I'm not quite sure if everyone is aware of that. We have Anthony Dixon, who comes to us from Rise Up Rochester. He's joined the team, and he's the new coordinator of Pathways to Peace. So I did want to announce that the last meeting. I'm not sure if I was able to. Actually, I wasn't present, so I did not announce that. There are a couple of events that Pathways to Peace is doing this month. They are doing a hot chili and hot chocolate. It's ironic that the weather is changing a little bit, but you know how Rochester is, so we are prepared for however it goes. But we do have a couple dates. March 6th, we was over at the Father Tracy House with that in that area doing the event. On this week, on the 13th, will be the Lyle Avenue, Child Street area. On the 20th, will be the Goodman Plaza area. And on the 27th, we will be Liberty Pole Way. All those dates, each date, the time for the event is from 3 to 5. Again, the purpose of the event is to connect with the community, give out some warm food. From what I understand, the chili is banging, so definitely, if you are around, can partake, I would definitely recommend that you do. So those are the events that Pathways to Peace has coming up. There's another event that we are working with as well. We're collaborating with with Summer Opportunities. People know them as the jobs. So Summer Opportunity Program, we're connecting with those guys for an event on Saturday, March 29th. This event is called Rock Youth. It's a community resource and employment fair. This event will be at East High School on March 29th from 1 to 4. And the purpose of this event is to have businesses, recruiters, community agencies, everyone that work with our youth that can provide our youth with either some sort of service, whether that's a mental health service, whether that's a job, whether that's just information about what's going on in the community. That's what that forum is for. So again, that's March 29th, and that's from 1 to 4. So I would definitely advise you guys to check that out if you are able to. There's another event as well that I want to plug. This is the Young Men's Motivated Momentum event. This is actually through the Art Center event, but I was just plugging this event as well because this is a city event. This event will take place March 21st from 12 to 5. It's a youth conference for ages 11 through 17. It will be motivational speakers, team collaborative challenges, and a network launching for the young people as well. So there's a whole itinerary for how the day will go. Again, that's March 21st, 12 to 5. And yeah, so those are the events that we have coming out of OVP in the city of Rochester. What I can do, I know I just named up a bunch of dates. People probably just didn't capture all of that. what I can do, I can just put some information into the chat, or I can actually send out an email. That'll probably be a little bit easier. The chat gets kind of cumbersome a little bit, but I can send this out in an email to individuals, and then we can go from there. So I don't know if it's okay if I can send it to possibly Dassy, and then that she can get it out, or however you want to do it, Councilman. But yeah, I can definitely share the information that I just provided.
That will be fine, Zeke. That will be fine to send the information out to Dassy. She's the point person, and then as she puts together the agenda, she can attach. And that goes for any of our, because I know Kareem does some great work. If I got some time, Kareem, I'm gonna push it over to you for a minute. If I got some time towards the end, if you hanging on there, brother, he does some great work around. That I know, and many of you, all of you, and so whatever you're doing, please. We're trying to create a way of getting information out to all of our partners. So by you sharing that information, Dassy is the key point. Send your events that you're having, information about your programs, all of that. We collectively send it out to this group. We have over 40 people on this call right now, but we have an extensive email list of many partners who work in these spaces with youth, in the spaces of gun violence, etc. That this information gets disseminated to. So thank you, Zeke, for that information. And I'm going to move right on along to
Councilman Lightfoot.
Yes, go ahead,
sorry,
sir.
I have one more event I want to plug. It's more of a save the date. So this is the Wear Orange event, the End Violence event. This will be, as many of you know, June is Gun Violence Awareness Month. This will be the event that we will be doing in collaboration. It will be not just the city, but Moms Demand Action, Rise Up, 585 Snug, U of R, other agencies that I could be missing right now, but I will also send this flyer out as well. But the save the date is for June 6th, and this will be a great event. It will feature a march with our young people. We'll have vendors. It's really going to be a good event. So June 6th, definitely save the date. That's a Friday. That's the first Friday in June. So there will be more information that will come out. And again, I will send that information out to Dassy as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeke. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the work that you do. We're going to another one of our day ones. Captain Mura, you're up, sir.
Good evening, everybody. I'll try to make this fairly quick, but first I'd like to say thank you for the wonderful presentation by Jason and Mike. Almost 25 years of working in the city. As you could imagine, I've seen quite a bit of gun violence and the results thereof. What I don't generally share with people, but I will today due to that presentation, is that in the early 90s, my cousin was shot on Bennington, and he was shot in the neck, and he's been a quadriplegic ever since. He has very limited movement with his left hand, and that's it. And he's lived with that now for almost 30 years. So I really do appreciate that presentation. It's good to know that we're making headway when it comes to helping people that are in those situations, because what he went through after his shooting and what he's still going through to this day is just unbelievably terrible and taxing for him. It's just unreal. So I'm going to move on from that because I know we're short on time, but thank you again for that presentation.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Captain Mura. Thank you.
It's no problem at all. Let me get right into this. Unfortunately, year to date, we've got 5 homicides, 19 shooting victims from 17 different incidents. As far as guns recovered for last month, 2 long guns, 21 handguns, 1 ghost gun, and 1 handgun with a machine gun conversion, which is the Glock switch that you hear about. Of the arrests from last month, we had 37 criminal possession of weapon arraignments in Monroe County. 3 of those individuals were held without bail, which is about 8%. 23 individuals had cash or bond bail set. That's about 62%. And 10 individuals were released with non-monetary conditions, basically an appearance ticket without paying for any bail or anything of that nature. Year to date, we have 78 total handguns. That includes crime and non-crime guns. Year to date, we have 17 total long guns and 6 total ghost guns. I am going to send an email to Dazzy in just a couple of seconds, soon as I'm finished speaking, that will include some other information, but I'll run through real quick what it looks like. The youngest individual arrested in February was 16. The oldest was 50 for weapons charges, and a few individuals were from the county, maybe 5 or 6 of the arrestees. One was out of state, and the rest were from Rochester. Now, the only thing I have left is, at the last meeting, I was asked if we could somehow or another track the level of injury for each individual that was shot, that was a non-fatal shooting. And basically, the email that I'm going to send out that everybody will get, you'll see it. There's a screenshot of how our reports are written, and it's all computer generated, and there's drop-down boxes. So I'm going to read it off to you right now. So it'll say injury types, and under injury types, you can tap victim shot, apparent broken bones, loss of teeth, none. There's different drop-down boxes that you can click. So for a victim that was shot, it'll simply say victim shot. When you move over to medical treatment, it'll ask if hospitalized or not, and the officer will click hospitalized. Extent of injury, no injury, physical injury, serious physical injury. That's the only way it can be broken down without reading through each and every narrative, which would be pretty much impossible for our purposes here. So the short answer is, that's the best way or the only way we can track it. There's no way for me to say an individual was paralyzed or any other way to break it down other than that. But you'll see that in the email when you get it. And again, I'll send the email as soon as I'm finished with my portion. And that's what I have for you this month.
Okay, we're going to take maybe 1 or 2 questions, and I see Kathy. Go ahead.
Captain Mura, just quickly, would it be possible for you to also provide us with the crime gun recoveries breakdown separated from those guns not linked to crime guns?
Yeah, it's all, when you see the email that you get, it's all broken down, crime and non-crime.
Yeah, the report that you just gave us mixed the two together. I was wondering if in the future you could separate them so that...
Yeah, I can give it to you right now if you want it, or you can...
Sure.
So crime guns to date, 64 handguns to date this year. Long guns crime, 13, and ghost guns, 6.
And one more, Captain Mura, conversion guns?
The conversions aren't broken down on here. I just had the conversion for last month, which is the 1 Glock switch.
And is that one linked to a crime?
Yes, because having that switch alone is a crime.
Right. So would it be possible at the next meeting or when you get a chance to include the conversion guns as well? And for
I'll
everybody
check.
else?
I'll check and see if I can get
Captain
that.
Mura. Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Ty Clark, I see your hand up.
Hello.
Tashana? Yes.
Yep. Can you
go
hear
ahead.
me? All right.
Yes, we can.
Good evening, everybody. Captain, I know you said that there isn't necessarily being tracked how many people, for life after, if you will. I do know recidivism rate is a huge thing right now and probably always, but do you know if there happens to be any plans to possibly capture that for those individuals who, lives have been permanently altered? As if, being involved in a violent crime isn't altering enough, but those who have, say, been physically disabled, such as your family member and those that Mike and Jason referenced as well. Just so we know that the recidivism rate as far as like retaliatory violent crimes has been being more notably tracked. Do you know if there's any plans to track those who had TBIs and STIs and so forth due to these violent crimes?
I'm almost positive that it's being done, but I think the better group to answer that question would maybe be Pathways or Aaliyah Hinton's group. So some of the groups that work with the victims, and also some of the groups that we work with and cooperate with that also work with individuals that are involved in gun violence but not actively being charged. From the police department's perspective, once we make an arrest or a victim has gone to the hospital, that usually, or if we arrest somebody and they either get sent to booking or they get an appearance ticket, from our perspective, we're just answering calls, to be quite honest with you, and it's all the entities that we work with and partner with that handle the after the fact piece of it. So I think somebody else might have that answer for you better than I could.
So appreciate the question, Ty. Just hold on to that thought. We'll transition. I think I may be able to address a little bit of that as well, but I think it's a good segue into Aaliyah Hinton Williams and the Crisis Intervention Services update. Miss Aaliyah, we'll turn it over to you and your team. Thank you.
Good evening again, everyone. I am Aaliyah Hinton Williams. I'm with the City of Rochester's Crisis Intervention Services Unit. We serve community members who are experiencing crisis, trauma, and victimization through our 3 teams, which include the Homicide Response Team, which responds to homicides in the City of Rochester at the time of occurrence to support family members. We also have the Person in Crisis PIC team, which is our first responder emergency response social worker team. And we have our community support team, which is a team of counselors that provide victim assistance services to the community. I also have one of our supervisors, Leslie. She'll introduce herself in a moment. But we do provide monthly relevant data points that are related to the work of this coalition. And so for the month of February, our community support team served a total of 282 victims. The area with the largest number of victims served was 14621 with 35 victims. 14608 had 22, and 14613, 14607, and 14606 all had 13. And we did have 87 who were unknown. We did not have their information. And then the homicide response team did support 3 families in the month of February. 2 were February homicides, and then 1 was a previous homicide. I will turn it over to Leslie, and she can give us the data for the Person in Crisis PIC team.
Hello, Gordon Ogden from the Person in Crisis team, and also with the Homicide Response team along with Aaliyah. I'm just reporting out for February calls for co-response and pick-alone calls were 480 for the month of February. Other than that, all is well over at the PIC team.
Okay, wonderful. Does anyone, we'll take maybe one question for Aaliyah and Leslie. Does anybody have any? If not, we're going to move right into committee reports. And we'll start media. I don't think Vice President Harris is here. We'll go into advocacy. I know that Kathy's here. I don't think typically our president is here. Dr. Mack. Yes, sir.
I just had a quick question. Does any of that data relate to
Dr. Mack?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Does any of that data relate to
yes
incidents that take place on the school grounds? Or is this all off-campus incidents?
If it occurred in the City of Rochester, then it might relate to the data we provided.
I just want to know, is there a breakout? Do you guys break out any incidents that occur on school grounds Or do you keep that separate, or is it all just in, if you don't have, I'm just curious.
No, it's all included in one.
Okay, so how we can compare that to our actual data in the school.
Yeah, we capture that data. We don't isolate it, but we do capture the address of any call that we respond to.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to move right into my report because I think I think this is a nice segue into what my report. First of all, I want to thank Septimus and Ruth and everyone working on the youth committee. Last month, during Black History Month, we did award 5 recipients of our Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition first scholarship, $1,000 scholarships that through Septimus's organization, we were able to assist these 5 individuals. We had over 14 people apply for the scholarship, and they submitted their applications and their projects, and we chose those 5. And I want to say hats off to those 5 individuals and their families who received that. It was really a great event. Thank you for everyone who came out and showed up that night at the council meeting for that particular ceremony. It was really nice. I appreciate seeing all of you, and we look forward to seeing if we can replicate that again this year. The data, it's interesting that we're talking about every time we have a data conversation, and this seems to be a theme, and we talk about it at every meeting because we have all of you work in the space that we're working in, typically is data driven, right? And so, but every time we have this conversation, we find different points that we're not, more information that people would like to see aggregated, broken out, etc., shared, whatever. What we find is it's like a rabbit hole that we keep going down that just keeps, it's always more information that wants to be shared, and people at every single meeting we have, somebody else's has a different data point that they would like to see brought out. And because of that, we created a subcommittee throughout this coalition where we're meeting with the data subcommittee, and we've been meeting, and we realize that is an opportunity. And so we're working with various ones some are on this call to create a opportunity to be able to have a portal, if you will, a data lake, if you will, where we're looking to share information and put something together that we really could be helpful to everybody on this call and this community, right? This could be it's a great opportunity for us to really fill in some gaps, because the information that we have on certain, like the open data portal or whatever, doesn't have a lot of these points and sharing points, but they are out there from various different organizations. So instead of us reinventing the wheel for all organizations, we're looking to put together a one-stop shop type of product that we're putting together, and we're working very diligently on that. And so I want to say to Ty, a great question. To Dr. Mack, great question. Kathy, great question. All of you who've asked these questions that have been different data points, as well as what Jason and Michael just brought forth, right? That's a whole new data point of people who are working with disabilities, who are affected and impacted by gunshot, which opens up a whole nother avenue of questions and data that's even asked about how the resources and things, or lack of support or support that's given to those individuals, right? And so we need a space, a product that houses all of this information and shares all of these data points, and could be very, very helpful. And we're that's one of our major goals of this year, is to get that going and get a plan around that. So we have a couple of meetings that we're preparing to put together with all of the individuals that we know of who currently working within these spaces, share this data, and then we're going to put a proposal together of what that could look like, to have this product that would enable us to share information and enable individuals to go in and actually pull out and extract information that we're all asking for, and various ones are talking about in these meetings. And so I want to say that, be encouraged, because we're really, that's something we see that could be extremely impactful when it comes to agencies providing services, resources that are necessary and needed, community being educated, and being able to really track sources and going to roots of issues and problems that we're having in regards to gun violence and the impact of gun violence that it's having in our community. And so just know that that's a subcommittee that we're meeting and working with, and I think we're getting closer and closer to getting all of these people into a room and to be able to better flesh out how that product could be instituted here in Rochester and Monroe County. Okay. So the other piece is the youth conference that we had earlier last year. We want to start looking at planning another youth conference. We've learned from our first one. We want to make that kind of an annual thing. So I'm going to be reaching out soon to the youth committee to start planning and putting together anybody who wants to volunteer and be a part of that. We're going to start working on planning for the next youth conference and what that could look like. The first one was really great, and we want to do even bigger and better this year in 2025. So also an update from the gun trace data report. Speaking of data, I met with the mayor and Brady National last week. We had a meeting, and it looks very promising that we will be doing another gun trace data report here in Rochester. They're going to work out some details. There's a couple of suggestions that Brady gave so that we can build some continuity and consistency within our community. And the mayor is going to follow up with some of those suggestions, but I didn't hear any negativity. Everyone saw the value of it and wanted to move forward. So they're moving forward. Brady, the police department, they got to have a conversation. We don't have Agent Curran on the call, but he did send some information. But there's just a few people that because we have this new administration, and so federally, and but they don't feel that any of that's going to impact us moving forward. So just the good news is that we're moving forward with the gun trace data report. It's pretty much in the hands of the mayor and his administration, and they are taking the ball from here and working very closely with Brady National, who are consulting on that whole endeavor. So this will be a tremendous win. I always thank Kathy for her constant encouragement in regards to the Brady and all the folks at Brady, of course. But I always thank her because without her constant encouragement and consistency and passion around this, this is an issue that we took on, and we took it on very heavily. And oftentimes that's not maybe mentioned enough, but nonetheless, we know the fight that we had to go forward to get this gun trace data report done. And we're only one of 5 cities that has it. But nonetheless, the mayor seems very positive about it. And I was very encouraged with the meeting, and I'm excited to hopefully we'll have a finished product if they decide to move forward, which it appears that they are by hopefully by the end of the year, beginning of next year. But it sounds like it would not take, once the green lights are given by all of the people necessary, that it wouldn't take long to put it together. So that's pretty much where we are. The things to look forward to in the near future, of course, we have a 7-point plan. We released a couple of meetings ago where we were talking about the 7 things we wanted to complete. 3 of them are coming up. We just mentioned the data report. The resource guide is another one. We want to do the youth conference again. Of course, the scholarships again. We're looking at a procurement policy for the city of Rochester that we're still working on that. The gun trace data report is moving forward. So we're moving along on a lot of these recommendations that were presented by the community through our Rock Against Gun Violence Coalition Solution Action Plan. So that's where we are. And we're going to keep plugging away as the summer months. We got a lot of events. I'm encouraging each and every one of you to please, sir, please, ma'am, send us those events that you're having so we can kind of create some type of coalition calendar so that we're not stepping on each other's toes. Let's support each other. Let's try to, and then we'll put it out there so people know what's going on with individuals so we don't, summer comes, the calendar gets packed. I would like us not to be, if we can, in all possibility, for us to not try to plan all of our events on the same days, if we can, so we can support each other in our events, right? That would really be helpful. And we're trying to coordinate that because we have this group of together and we're here. And when your events are going to be, just send them to DASI so we can put that information out so that others can get that. So when they're planning their events for the summer and for the year, we can support each other and have more people attending each event because we don't have conflicts, right? So we want to help with that. We can help facilitate that if you allow us to. We're willing to help to do that so that we can be a support to each other. I wanted to take time to know if Brother Kareem, is you still there? Brother Kareem, I don't know if he took off or I see him stop sharing this video. I'd like to give you about 5 minutes, brother. If you can just kind of tell. Yeah, go ahead, man. I just wanted to give you a couple minutes just to tell a little bit more about what you do and then maybe be able to share some of your videos and some of your information to DASI that she can share with the rest of the group. Because part of this issue, as you all know, and I heard it mentioned by somebody before, I think it was Ty, about alternatives to this violence. And this, in my opinion, Kareem is one of many, because many of you work in this space too, that provides these opportunities for these young people. Go ahead, Brother Kareem.
How you doing? Again, Kareem Berry. I run the MAP program, which is the Multi-Craft Apprenticeship Preparation Program. Basically, what we are is a pre-apprenticeship for the trades. We have 3 organizations actually linked with us. MAP, which is the umbrella. We have CTC, which stands for Changing the Community. That is a football-based program, youth sports. And the head of that is Mr. Greg Hopkins. The reason why I know you're like, well, how does job training, what does that have to do with youth sports, right? We actually have individuals that have gone through CTC, got D1 scholarships, and have actually made it to the NFL, right? But everyone is not going to follow that path. Everyone's not going to make it to the NFL. Everyone's not going to get that D1 scholarship. But these are the same kids that have been coming to practice every day, showing teamwork, showing that work ethic, and those things translate easily into the trades. That's the reason why we have that connection. The other organization, which is basically the reason why I'm here today, is Untrapped Ministries, which is a gun violence prevention program. We have a model that says nothing stops a bullet like a job, right? So our whole concept is keeping people out of the way of crime by providing them with opportunities in the workforce, right? Mainly construction in our case. So if you look at a basic construction day starting from 7 going to 3:30, you having to be to work at 7 o'clock, sometimes, especially in the summer hours now that daylight savings time has kicked in, you may have to be there at 6, which means that you have to get up around 4-ish to get yourself prepared and at the job site ready to work at 6, right? So that means what time do you have to actually go to bed to do that effectively? Around 9 o'clock, thereabouts, right? So that gets you out the window of where the peak of crime comes in. That also gives you an alternative way to earn money to take care of your family. And what I've seen, especially now during tax time, Black folks especially, we do crime and commit crimes, especially involving money, in order to pay bills. And you can see that when we receive the taxes back, the first thing people want to do is take care of their bills. So it's not a thing of we are not going to pay the bill. You just don't have the economic means to actually do that. we give them the economic means to do it. We give them a career path. Again, college isn't for everyone, as I'm sure some folks here will agree. But the trades are a great alternative. I'm an electrician by trade. I went through the apprenticeship union, IBEW Local 86. I know what the trades can do for a person financially and career-wise, just for your mind, just your well-being, understanding that you have a skill set that can't be taken away from you. And we give that to our participants. We give that to the participants of CTC, and we give that to the participants of Untrapped Ministries. So in a nutshell, that's what we do.
Beautiful, brother. I wanted to end on that note because I just felt that that was a great way to end and to see Tanios. You had your hand up, Dr. Mack. I do a lot of hands. We'll probably start flying there. We'll take a couple real quick. Tanios first, Dr. Mack. And I understand that people got to go. I'm sorry to go over a little bit. Tanios?
Yes, one of the things I started to mention before the very start of this group being formed was that we needed something that was going to be interesting for the youth right now. And you were speaking about football, and one of my sergeants in Georgia started a football tournament for the sheriff that was there at the time that is going to be anti-gang. I want to do something along those same lines as well. If you're interested in it, I do want to team up with you at a later time to try to get something along those lines started.
What type of tournament are we talking about? Like,
It's going to be
11 contact. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about possibly a contact football. We could potentially do a flag football type of tournament. Again, if you are interested in anything along those lines, I can send you a link to what they have right now, and we can make our own alterations as needed.
Typically, what we do is a 7-on-7 skills type tournament. As a matter of fact, we had one about 2 years ago, not 2 years, 2 weeks ago, and we won the 18 and under and the 15 and under. So we came home with both of those chips.
Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Mack.
Throw in there
we
that
have the #1 recruit in the country right now in Messiah Hampton.
Okay, well, here's some more kudos. The CTC program is real. I'm glad to support it. Greg Hopkins is real. My son went through that program, got a full scholarship. He's a pro football player right now, coming through the CTC windows. And Greg, I actually took him to college. He met with the coaches. They take you all the way. It's real. And he is a 2016 graduate. So I'm glad to hear that you guys are expanding your footprint, if you will, because we need it. You need all the support you can get. Greg knows that. You can vouch for that 100%. Thank you.
Yeah, so I knew, you know, because I working with a lot of you outside, I know when I saw my brother on the screen, a lot of you probably was not aware of the work that he does. It's just the unkept secret. Rochester, again, has so many gems and jewels that we have, that all of you, are part of, but we have to make sure that people are aware of your work and that we're supporting each other. So I'm going to sign off. Get ready to sign off. I want to say that our next meeting, if you look at your agenda there, I believe, of course, we are April 14th at 6 p.m. We look to see you. We'll be meeting with these other subcommittees in the interim between that time. And I want to thank each and every one of you for all the work that you're doing. We're doing some great work collectively, and we're better together than we are apart. And let's keep supporting one another as we move into these spring months, into this, time where typically we see the spike of violence increasing, is even more so why our work needs to be more intentional and why we continue to support each other in our work. All right. So may God bless you. May God keep you is always our prayer. And we'll see you soon. All right. Blessings and good night.
Thank you all.
Night.